Hey guys, Jim here with Creative Play and Podcast Network, and here we are again in August. It is now hashtag RPGaDay again for its 8th year. God, it's been so long. Again, we're joining in with all the other tabletop gamers out there to get creative and use the prompts now for RPGaDay 2021 to inspire you guys to all write, vlog, blog, draw cool pictures. This year they're asking for whatever you do. So we are going to go ahead and start out with the next day. All right, guys, here we go.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, assigned to Ragnarok Story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, welcome back to hashtag RPGaDay 2021. It is August the 6th. Today's word is flavor, and chase, and explore, and path. All of those kind of work together, especially if you put them in different order. It's a path you explore and chase for flavor.
Now, how would you apply flavor to RPGs?
Me personally,
what's your favorite flavor of RPG?
So I could take flavor in two different directions. One is flavor text, because adding flavor text to scenes and scenarios is really nice. If you throw some little cheesy thing out there that helps, pull your players into the environment, that's always a good thing.
And by flavor text, you basically mean extra description.
Mm-hmm.
You really try to pull them into the moment.
You give them a little more sights, smells, taste, the air, the stink, the pleasant flavors, the rosy air, and just throwing in smell, touch, tactile sensation, you can totally get players more involved into it. So if you like crossing the stream as you're getting hit with the warm summer breeze and the soft scent of rose and field flowers, totally sounds different of as you cross the stream, you can feel the slimy undercoating of the rocks.
Yeah.
And the cold chill that just leaches into your boots.
And you just know it's going to take
two totally different things.
Forever for them to dry.
And if you just throw out the even something as simple as the flavor of text of "and the bugs go silent," something as simple as the bugs go silent, we all know that scene in the movie when the crickets just go dead silent. And then the killer appears. It becomes one of those little things that the players will immediately inject what their anticipation is based on the flavor.
Oh, yeah. Things are about to get serious.
You can just throw a sight or a smell out there, and it can even be used to tease to what's coming up. If there's a cat, you can totally tell them that you smell a rotting corpse up in a tree. That's totally something random, but it's flavor text you can throw out there because now they're looking up. Now they're realizing death is on the tree branches as well as the ground.
Yeah. And if you're trying to describe a desert, you want that the heat is oppressive and the sun is just beating down on you. It's you start, it's one thing to say, okay, you're trekking across the desert, roll for, your constitution. Mm-hmm. But it's another matter to, describe how that sun feels. Your armor feels like an oven, that type of thing. It completely just changes the experience.
Yeah, and adding flavor to the scene is something that's it's free, because let's be honest, your GMs, you have no budget. and it will add a lot to your character. And even adding flavor to your attack if you're a player, instead of saying I'm going to swing my sword at it, of I spit a curse out at it as I swing my blade into his face. Granted, it's not really giving you any mechanical bonus, but it sounds cool as opposed to just I'm going to swing my sword.
But it would give you a bonus if you were playing Scion, and if you can stunt that stuff up where you really give descriptions,
That
you
this
know,
is
and
true.
if you can involve the environment, those types of things, then, it can. So by providing extra flavor text, stunt it up, give it more style and spin, it can help you, at least in that game. Plus, it's just fun in general if you get, like Mike from our High Sea Shenanigans game, when, or from the Daggers of Freeport, when he starts describing what he's going to do, sometimes it's like, oh, I mean, when he was intimidating the flower girl who was spying,
Oh.
and I'm like taking notes, and I'm like, I wrote down, he intimidated me. I mean, it was like, whoa. I mean, I got chills up my spine. He was that good, you know. I mean, nicest guy. But he was able to give that flavor text that just, it's like, oh, wowzers.
And it's true. And as player to player, having somebody add flavor, as long as you're not like a spotlight hog, a little bit of flavor goes a long way. I mean, it really does. Like when you describe a spell or an ability with a little bit of flair, give it just that squirt of extra flavor just to make it a little +1, you know, make it your own macchiato.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or you describe what your spell looks like to the group, because we all know from video games now we expect particle effects, you know, or you're as an archer you take that moment to say that I lick the fletching on my arrow before I let it fly. You know, they're just those little things you see in movies that are just a little bit of flair, you know, just a little extra that they do that emphasizes the importance of the action.
Yeah.
And of course
Of
that
course,
also, oh,
it's not that to say, I mean, that's all well and good, but also don't want those characters who may not be or feel comfortable doing that type of, or they feel like they're put on the spot, they should not be pressured into
true,
providing flavor
very
text
true.
if they're not comfortable doing it.
Very true. And then a lot of times, you know, that's if you look at it from like a fiction point of view, they're strong supporting characters. You know, it's they're just
Well,
not
some people just
flamboyant.
like vanilla.
Yeah. You know, you don't have to be the big flamboyant, you know, when always constantly doing stuff. I mean, look at Robin Hood. Not everybody was as flamboyant as Scarlet and, you know, and Robin Hood, you know. You have, you know, Friar Tuck, who's very, very strong in flavor, but that's just because you knew him as what he was, you know. Or Little John, you know, their flavor was they're the big, strong, silent type.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Drax the Destroyer. Look at the flavor that character has. He might have picked Intel as his dump stat, but he owned that shit. But and flavor, of course, can also be taken on your setting as a setting of what is the flavor or theme of the setting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
is this dark fantasy? Is it high fantasy? You can still have, is this sci-fi? Is it hard sci-fi? Is it soft sci-fi? Is it horror sci-fi? Because, you know, that little extra flavor you throw into your settings can make a big difference in how it's interpreted.
True. I mean, is this city like really dirty and filthy, and that it's that undercurrent of miasma of evil, or is it just a standard, you know, town and you're just under siege or something? It's like completely different
flavors.
flavors of, you know.
Is it your chocolate, your vanilla, or your strawberry?
Caramel.
See, flavor is important. You know, it all comes down to and even missions and adventures is they can have different flavors too. And of course,
Yeah.
One of the
I
hard
mean,
things is dialing in what your player's favorite flavor is.
well, and also it's sometimes kind of nice that, hey, if you have a really intense game or situation going on, maybe, or like if a couple, players can't, but you still want to play, maybe do like, a little side adventure that is, maybe a little lighter flavor.
Break things up. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid to try different flavors in your adventure party. Look at Hercules and Xena, how they used to constantly like, we're gonna try something totally different. So they'd go off of the campiness and get like hardcore serious on 1 or 2 episodes
Mm-hmm.
before they go back to crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you can break it up. So it's just not all one level.
hmm And just because you're a hardcore sci-fi doesn't mean you can't have a horror episode, or doesn't mean you can't try mixing up the flavors, just a little, because we all know that you can go in there and you can totally turn a space adventure into a horror adventure. Heck, Star Trek has showed us the flavor of the week episodes, of all of a sudden this political thing is an episode, all of a sudden the next episode is completely different feel and taste, because that's just the different flavor they're pulling out.
And I like, when a party is that each of the characters have a different flavor, because then you get more variety. So it's like, yeah, you may have that taciturn, grumpy character, or you have the one that's really lighthearted, the silly character, and if you are doing little adventures and stuff that relate specifically to a character, like you take turns, like, okay, it's this person's, so you can highlight different characters and stuff, then the flavor of that character will flavor the adventure.
Definitely.
So that's nice.
And when someone takes lead on the adventure, it totally can change things. I mean, just have Tilda, take over an adventure and look what happens.
Well, I just like like if certain what Kiri Shields, her character,
hmm
the scion of Odin, who's like, oh, like, better zero, just
That's just how she
tends to be
sounds
a
too.
lot more, full on murder hobo.
hmm
And then you get Trixie, who's like, no, let's try this a different way.
we're not gonna play that game.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to play a different game.
But and don't be afraid of trying different flavors when finding your character's voice. I mean, that is one of the ways of finding your character is trying different things.
Oh, yeah. Actually, each of my characters, has a voice typically,
hmm
so that, I can get into their kind of mindset. Like, of course, Tilda, which I haven't gotten to play Tilda in a long time, but yeah, she's like, so I'm like, hi, I'm Tilda,
hmm
she's that, and then I have, Sister Solace. She's a lot of fun. I never get to play her anymore. My tiefling cleric.
I know,
You
for
know,
her big story arc too.
I know she has all this freaking character history, total flavor. Oh my god! And she's never, none of the characters knew about it too. None of the other players or characters knew about her backstory. So it's like, it could have left open for such amazing stuff. We may have to use her again.
Or totally, fanfic. I'm just saying, you should start writing.
I'm busy.
I understand that flavor too well. So I think we've gotten the most flav we can get out of the flavor today.
Yeah, we've chewed on this enough that the flavor has gone.
Well, we don't want to chew on it until it gets too small, so we should probably wrap up. But the word for tomorrow is small.
Mm.
That's a dangerous one.
Yeah.
Small things, good things come in small packages.
Indeed they do.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you had something with some good flavor in it. And please make sure you hashtag RPGaDay2021. Share what you've got. Comment, like, share. Part of the big thing about the RPG a Day is the fact that we're sharing each other's stuff. We're finding new podcasts, we're finding new blogs, new vlogs, things like that. And artists, because we have a few friends that are going to be doing some artwork for RPG a Day too, which I'm totally waiting on. But that's going to be awesome. So like always, guys, thank you for listening and talk to you tomorrow. But make sure you're the bigger person because tomorrow is small.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.